how do you feel that it fits into your canon of work? You know, is it an album that you kind of a one-off that you did? You know, just for fun, it's light, it's personal.
Yeah.
There's some really meaningful, deeper stuff on there, but it's also just living lightly, you know, just simple.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in? Is this a really meaningful, deep album for you on a personal level, or is this something you just wanted to get off your chest?
It's both.
Okay.
You know, it's because sometimes the simple things are tremendously meaningful. You know, it's as much of a statement of God, I think, when you're able to just enjoy a beautiful day, for example, you know, as it is, you know, some kind of mountaintop spiritual experience. You know, they're all really important. And I wanted to make a record like this because I love records like this. I listen to a lot of records in this kind of bag. In fact, as I get older, I'm more attracted to stuff that you put on and makes the room feel good than stuff that, like, you really, you know, is a little more of a challenging listen. Yeah. You know, I love challenging listens too. I love to go to the symphony and hear some really interesting, challenging music
as you listen.
Yeah, and I'm listening to it, go, wow, this, and I love that.
Right.
You know, and I love Prog, of course, still. You know, but I wanted
to hear.
I wanted to make a record that was reflected my singer-songwriter side, which I just do naturally. You know, this wasn't really a calculated thing. I was just writing what I felt like writing, and then I had like 5 or 6 really good songs, and then I started going through my phone. Something was nudging at me, like go through your archives, because as I'm just living, I'm just laying down little ideas, you know, at the airport or camping with the family.
Lyrical ideas as well as musical?
It's usually one line in La Da Da. Like, one of them was, I just thought I'd write a song, tell you all the way I feel, la da 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 da, da 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 da. You know,
so
just
you have
like,
the melody too.
And I'll have some kind of, usually some kind of little lyrical idea. Okay. Usually the melody and the main line, usually, but it comes differently. You know, it's not always the same. But so I went through my phone and I found a bunch of cool things. Oh,
so you'll record
that
video and audio?
Well, no, I just audio in my voice
okay.
memos, and like I found what would become, like, the germ kernel idea of what would become You and Me and Everything, and then I found the germ kernel idea of what would become Lay Low, was all in there, and so that, and then, you know, some one-off stuff like Old Alabama's an old song of mine that I wrote in the early 90s, that I thought fit, that I've always wanted to record. And the last song, If I Only Had a Day, that's a song that I wrote during the Flying Colors writing sessions, which would be like now like a year and a half ago almost.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't know, I just wanted to write a song. Sometimes in these writing processes with collaborators, there's so much stuff going on and it takes a long time, and this idea and that idea, well, we're working on it more tomorrow, and we usually do the lyrics even like after that. So I just sat down and I wanted to write a song from beginning to end. Right. So that's when I wrote that one.
Yeah, I mean, you have how many bands now? You have Neal Morse Band. Yeah. Transatlantic.
Yeah.
Living Colors.
Flying
Colors. Yeah. Flying Colors, and your solo.
And my solo stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
you haven't added.
That's all I got. And I guess if the Beatles band, if Yellow Matter Custard ever wants to do anything,
that's got to be fun.
Oh yeah.
Yellow Matter Custard.
Yeah. Did you see the one here years ago?
No, I did not.
That was it was gas.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you remember that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's an amazing thing to do, to get paid to do.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite things to do is just like sit around and sing Beatles songs with people. You know.
Right.
So you get to like play Beatles songs with guys like Paul Gilbert and Kazim Sultan, and so like,
oh man,
you're like,
wow.
and of course Mike, you know.
Well, yeah, of
Yeah.
course, of course.
But
yeah. I just
yeah,
talked to him, and
it's a lot of fun.
He's just he's a beast. Yeah,
He is.
Mike is really just so.
He's the beast from the regular East.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, it's inherently complex what you usually do. These songs are a lot simpler, more verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus kind of things. Is that harder to write for you, or is it?
It takes a shorter amount of time to write it.
But you were saying it comes naturally for you.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
I can write if I'm rolling and it's coming. I can write, you know, 2 or maybe 3 of those kinds of songs a day, if it's coming. In fact, I think sometimes the 3rd song winds up being the best one. Like I remember Jailbreak, which is a song I've been doing at these shows because it's fun to jam to. Jailbreak, I remember, was the 3rd song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like keep going. Something good's coming.
Yeah, you got to be anticipating when you're on number 2. You know, the next one's gonna be the best.
Yeah, if it's flowing out, you know. Sometimes songs can flow. I mean, some of the best songs, most beloved songs, I think if you read about it, were written in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a natural progression of thought. You know, where
If it's a simple
you're not
song,
working
you
in
know,
it.
it's like, it's like Twist and Shout or something.
Right,
Like that, you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Well, what should we do? Oh, how about this? You got a riff, the guy sings something over. Oh, cool. How about, what are we going to do for a bridge? Aww, right. You know, great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes less is more. You know?
Yeah.
Like keeping it simple and.
Speaking of that, that's what struck me about Life and Times. I've dabbled, but I've never really, like on this album, said, okay, I'm gonna make an album that's as cool as, you know, some of my favorite singer-songwriter albums.
Right.
So I really kind of studied it a little more, and it took me a long time to get things just so.
Okay.
Like, you know, in Living Lightly, that little guitar, there's a guitar fill in thirds that goes like right before the first part of the verse into the B section.
Mm-hmm.
I must have spent like an hour and a half just getting the tone right, getting the feel right, getting the harmony just right. Then I woke up the next day and listened to it. No,
That's not what you're looking for.
it was
It's
still
not exactly right.
It was
Yeah.
still. Here's my challenge, because I'm used to doing stuff that's more in your face, more edgy. Getting it smooth as glass, getting it
That
really
cascading
taste that
thing,
cascading
yes.
thing,
Yes.
and getting it just, you know, I did a lot of different guitar solos on that,
Right.
but it's the challenge for me is to do less, and to have it sound like I didn't try,
Right.
like
It's nice and easy.
like restraint, you know, like
Right.
practicing restraint. It was hard for me.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, because you are. It's very aggressive usually, or it's very uplifting and louder and, you know, just
And
out
generally,
there.
generally music to be listened to.
Yeah.
Like, here I
Yes.
am,
Yes.
you know.
Come and get it.
Yeah, this was a little more like, you know, groove.
Well,
Yeah.
just, and, you know, one of my favorite records of all time is Jim Croce. I love Jim Croce. Probably my favorite singer-songwriter.
Yeah, he was great.
You Don't Mess Around with Jim is just a masterpiece to me. And I always listen, my daughter will tell you, I listen to Jim Croce on long trips. We'll take road trips.
Yeah.
And I feel embraced. I feel warm when I listen to it. I
Yeah.
sing along to it. I feel like, you know, I don't have the wheel anymore. You know, it's just, it just drives me in a spiritual and emotional way.
Yeah.
It's very warm.
Makes you feel good.
It really, really
It's a
does.
feel-good album, yeah.
And it's constant, you know, and it's constant chills as I'm driving. And
Mhm.
I got that when I listened to this.
Good, good.
The
That's
whole
what I was going
record,
for.
It was just,
Great.
and I think in my review I said, you know, Jim will have the 10 and 2. Jim will have 10. You'll have 2, and you know, you guys will be driving for me. So
All right.
you know, I can see you know, this record doing that, and that's just
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing. It's so different. It really is. I did not expect that.
Yeah,
from you.
it is. I've never done anything like it before, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done singer-songwriter albums before, but not like this one.
Yeah.
This one's, you know, it's mellower. It's got its own flavor, you know. And I think part of that was the work that Scott Williamson, Richard Brinsfield, and particularly Chris Carmichael did, and Rich
Producing,
Mauser.
mixing?
Scott was on drums and helped me kind of shape
Okay.
the album. He helped me choose the songs because I had 19 or 20 or something. I had to pare them down. So Scott, and he helped me with some of the arrangements too. It was a big help.
Oh, 19 or 20.
And Richard was great on bass, and then Chris Carmichael, I just sent him things, and he did all the string arrangements himself, and really beautiful. And then Rich Mauser, I thought, you know, people might be surprised. Terry Christian mixed some of it, but Rich really surprised me with how what a nice job he did at making it warm and welcoming.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
And
cool.
he totally got it.
Yeah.
I kept sending emails back saying, "Can you make it smaller?" You know, not. You know,
That's
most of-
odd. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Know, usually you're going the other direction.
Yeah, a lot of times you're going for the big
Right.
drums and big guitars, and you're wanting everything, you know, big vocals, and this was the complete opposite. Trying to, you know, just the snare drum. You know, we don't want it to be big.
Right. And a lot of I noticed a lot of it's like rim work, rim shots. And,
Oh, isn't
you know,
he
just-
great?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's-
Scott
it's
Williamson.
Beautiful.
He's a master, really.
It's perfect for the music. I mean, everything fits perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just really.
God really put it together.
It's
I was scheduled to use two different guys
on drums.
on drums and bass,
Okay.
and it was all and then they at the last minute said they didn't have time, and so I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to wait. I thought about waiting till after Morse Fest even started, and then I thought, oh man, then it won't. When will it come out? You know. And so I called up Scott, and he said, yeah, I happen to have time next week, which was amazing because most of these guys, the Nashville guys, are booked.
Yeah.
You know, the good guys they're booked up. So I considered it to be an act of God that they could all even do it.
Absolutely, that's very great.
Yeah.
I'd like to go through each song,
Okay.
kind of. You know, I know we've touched on a few already, but "Living Lightly," just basically for our lead track. I mean, it describes the mood of the album so well.
Thanks.
The Neil Young line, you know, that's just such a great lyrical work. You know,
Thanks.
wordplay. It's just so. It's highlighted for a lot of people. I see a lot of comments on that. And
Well, you know what's really funny about that is that Neil Young, a lot of his stuff is like really edgy.
Yeah.
I mean, you
yeah.
listen to Southern Man or something.
Godfather of grunge.
Yeah, right. You know.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of course, the Harvest Moon albums.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And also, this album was, I have to acknowledge that it was heavily influenced by John Mayer.
Okay.
On John Mayer's Born and Raised record,
Nice.
he makes some references right off the bat to Neil Young, Joni Mitchell. Like, I'm going out to the coast where Joni made blue, and you know, and so that was an influence too. John Mayer's Born and Raised and Paradise Valley were very, very much influenced this record.
Nice. Good Love Is on the Way. The barista and the corny cashier. Fictional?
Yeah, but I had been in that space. I don't know how much time you have. This is kind of I think this is an interesting story.
Take your time.
Okay, so the album's done. It's done, and it's being mastered on Thursday. And right around that time, like about a week before, it's going to be mastered. And Rich is mixed, and Terry's mixed, and there's very little left to do. We went on a coffee crawl with my church in Nashville when we went to all these coffee places downtown.
Yeah.
And so there's all these groovy young people, you know.
Well, you're in Nashville. So
Yeah, in Nashville,
yeah.
and all these, like, they're all
Right.
musicians. You know, she sees the poster for his next gig on the wall,
Right.
and you could just feel the attractions. And I was just thinking, imagine how many love stories there are
Yeah.
in this place.
kidding.
You know, what's going on with all these young people, most of them are really, pretty attractive, trying to make it in the business and all that. And so, I don't know, I didn't think much of it. It was just, you're impressed by things. And then I had borrowed this Telecaster. All the guitar, almost all of the guitar that you hear on this record, electric, is this Telecaster that I played in this pawn shop of a friend of mine. And it felt good in my hands. And I'd never had a Telecaster before. Never really played one. It just felt good. He said, hey, you want to borrow it? And so I borrowed it, and I was supposed to return it. And the guy says to me at the end of the coffee call, he says, hey, I was going to take that guitar back, but I think you've got one more song to record on the guitar. And that's on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had written "Good Love Is on the Way."
Now, he was a musician?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
a musician who let me borrow this guitar, and then he said that to me, and it made me think, maybe I have another song. Do I have another song, Lord? Do I have another song?
Yeah.
And I didn't feel anything like in particular, but I thought, well, I did just write "Good Love Is on the Way." I wonder if is it too late? I could record it. I don't know. Maybe it should be on the album. So I called up Scott, or I emailed him, and I said, hey, if I got you a guitar vocal, this is Saturday night, mastering on Thursday. Mastering is you're completely done.
Right.
There's no, that's it. That's
Final
the last
step.
step.
Yep.
If I got you a guitar vocal, could you put drums on this like tomorrow? And I'm thinking, wow, this would need strings. Chris Carmichael's on the book for months. Anyway, Scott emails back and says, yeah, I could. So I get up in the Sunday morning early, like 7 in the morning, and I chunk out this terrible scratch, click track, guitar, vocal. He sends me back drums by like 11 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then I decided, well, if
They
I
had
take...
to really dig it. He
not
did. To work something up,
Yeah.
to get it out.
He was
that
into
fast.
it, and his drum track was great. And then Monday, because he has everything set up at his house, to do it.
Right.
So he sends me the files, and then Monday I think, well, if I spend all day and night only doing this, so now it's just drums and click, that's only keeper thing. Everything else that you hear on there, I did on Monday. And I sent it to Chris Carmichael on Tuesday morning, I think, and I said, I know it'll take a miracle, but this has to be mixed tomorrow. Now it's Tuesday. It has to be mixed tomorrow to be mastered on Thursday. I know it'll take a miracle, but I don't know, I just thought I'd send it to you. And he says, there may be a miracle in the offing. And he sends back the strings that night.
Wow.
And I said, Rich, you think you can mix this tomorrow? He said, yeah, we can make it. We can do it. He mixed it on Wednesday, mastered it on Thursday.
You got a good crew there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it just all came together too. Even
That's
that
cool.
keyboard sound, I didn't have much time, so I was like, well, it needs something sort of signature, something spacey maybe. This sort of glassy thing maybe that could be behind it. And I just pulled up a sound that I don't hardly ever use, and it's actually a synth lead sound.
Okay.
But it had all this delay on it, and I go,
It's subtle.
and I like the way the delay was,
Yeah.
and that's the first thing you hear on the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's warm. Even with that synthy kind of thing, maybe it stays in place.
And it has
really,
a vibe.
Yeah.
A lot.
Love
With
the
this
song.
whole record, I was thinking about not the notes and all that as much as the vibe.
Yeah. It's consistent. Yeah, it's very consistent all the way through. The next song, Joanna, and I've heard you say that it's one of your favorites on the album. I'm trying to think. I've read Testimony, and I don't remember a Joanna, and I'm thinking, and I did come upon something that said your son's girlfriend or lost girlfriend.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, enlighten me. Who is Joanna? What the inspiration behind that song?
Just a second.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get the food ordered.
Oh yeah.
Or I won't be able to eat.
Yeah, that's not good.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, take your time, please.
I'm just texting Todd to do
Please.
that. Well, what happened was that was kind of a last minute or two. The bass and drum sessions were done in July. It was the last day, and I was walking in the morning, and it was bothering me that there was nothing in 3/4. It seemed to me that a singer-songwriter
Gotta go
album
there.
should have one song at least. I've had other albums where I felt like there was too many songs in 3/4, but there was none. It was kind of bothering me. And I was thinking about my son Will and his girlfriend Joanna, who are now back together and just got engaged. But at the time, she had broken up with him for like 3 months. And he's a very stoic sort of guy, doesn't show his emotions very much. And strong sort of guy. So it was me imagining what he was really feeling. Because I could tell he was sad. And he was trying not to show it. So I asked him later, how did I do? He said, well, it's a little more poetic than I would have said it. But I got it right. But yeah, so it was really Will singing to his
That's
lost
great.
girlfriend. That I knew, because I knew he felt like they were supposed to spend their lives together.
Yeah. And it looks like they will.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And it's so convincing, you know, you taking on that role of him.
I really enjoyed it.
Very, very convincing.
Worked very hard on that lyric.
Yeah.
That was not an easy lyric.
And the strings.
I hope it doesn't sound like it was a hard lyric to write.
No, I mean, everything's just so easy and so warm. You know, that's what I love about the record.
Oh,
It's
great.
just, it flows so well. Everything. I mean, even, you know, and most of it is uplifting, light. You know, now he died at home is
Right.
pretty dark. It's
Yeah, that's the
definitely
sad.
the darkest song on the record, I would
Yeah.
say. So that one, and it's kind of self-explanatory, especially with the video.
Yeah.
But you know, you surround that with Selfie in the Square, bookend it with Selfie in the Square, and She's Changed Her Mind.
Mhm.
And you know, again, that flow from song to song, which you know, I'm old school. I love the records. I love putting them on and hearing all the way through.
Yeah.
A nice flow on a record. Is,
Me too.
You know, and we
I
don't
fear
get
that
so
I know. I
much.
fear that will be lost.
Yeah, and you know, I don't hear it with everything anymore, but this record does, and I say record, and I mean record. You know, it really
Right.
feels like an old record.
Well, that's the way. That's the way we, you know, since we grew up listening to records like that. That's what we know. That's what we, you know. You strive to be, you know, to you produce something that's like something that inspired you.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what all of us musicians are doing. You know, we're just trying to give back what we've loved.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so I'm
yeah,
so glad that
yeah.
you feel that way.
Oh, it's
thank you.
It's incredible. It really is. It's a gift in my life. It really is. Selfie in the Square.
Thanks, Todd.
Story of the Road. I saw.
Selfie in the Square. Yeah, it's pretty much self-explanatory.
Sure.
Yeah, I was walking around on my day off, going, man, she would love this. She would love this. But it was such a beautiful day in this beautiful European city, and you know, and
Did
they
you
have all
send her a
those.
selfie?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, it's in my phone. Yeah, I did. It's on the album actually, in the album artwork.
It is?
The one
Okay.
picture of me with the buildings behind,
Okay.
and I don't know. I think
I'll have to-
maybe I'm wearing a black jacket or something. Yeah, the selfie that I sent her is actually.
Awesome.
I sent her the song too, and the great thing was.
You know, you wrote it right there in Luxembourg.
Yeah, I wrote it down on the day off, and I opened my windows in my hotel, and as soon as I pushed record in my voice memos to record the song for her, the cathedral bell started ringing, and I go, "Oh, babe, this is
Your bells are
incredible!"
ringing out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Really
See,
cool.
and that's another thing about the album is I think everybody has a moment like that where they miss their wife or they miss their kids, and each song is like that. You know, I mean,
Right, a
it
relatable
really,
thing.
It's very human. It's
Yeah.
very organic.
Well, that's
you know?
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's what you hope for. You know, you kind of put your heart into something, and you hope that people can relate to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't imagine not relating to this record. And he died at home, like I said, is you know.
Yeah, that's the really sad, the
Yeah.
super sad moment.
Yeah. And you know, if nobody's hasn't seen the video, it's an amazing tribute to William Busby.
Yeah.
You know, just
It was amazing that the director got his mother to sending the photos and video. It's
Yeah.
really moving.
It really, really is moving, and still, yeah, I listen to the record over and over and over now, and I still shed a tear with that song. You can't, you can't help it. It's just so deep and so meaningful. But right out of that, She's Changed Her Mind, which is really just a great kind of pop song.
Mhm.
Any particular person or situation inspire that one?
It was kind of a.
Who is she?
It's kind of like a James Taylor song to me.
Yeah.
You know, or I don't know, like an English James Taylor. There's something English about it
to
to me.
Yeah, it reminded me of the like a Beatles pop.
Yeah, sort of Beatley.
You know, a band called Jellyfish. I don't know if you were
Yeah,
familiar with. Okay.
yeah.
It was very Beatlesque
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
You know, was that, you know, anybody changed their mind?
That one I'm not allowed to talk about.
Okay.
But my wife wants everyone to know it's not about her.
Okay.
It's about someone else that I know.
Okay. Wave on the Ocean. The man, I can feel it. Man, I can feel it.
Oh, good.
It's just,
Good.
it reminded me of like what the end of Snow did for me.
Really?
Just so, man, I can.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, it was revivalist to me.
Oh, wonderful.
Really, really struck me spiritually.
Wonderful.
Was there an inspiration with Wave in the Ocean?
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking about the original lyric was Up on the Mountain. It was you make me feel, you make me feel. I was just sitting there. I think my wife had gone to bed, and I was just sitting there playing guitar, just singing, and I started to play those chords, and like I'm up on a mountain so high, you make me feel. But when the band got to it, Richard and Scott basically, they started doing that. I hadn't written that. All I had written was just like, you know, A, B minor over A, and just singing.
You wrote it on guitar.
Yeah. And so they started doing this. You know, it's kind of almost like calypso feeling.
Right, it is very much so.
And then so the original demo was that, and the scratch vocal was me singing Up on the Mountain. I played it for my wife, and
So there's a demo out there that has a mountain lyric?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
And and she said, you know what doesn't work for me about this? I really like this song, but what doesn't work for me is that you're singing about a mountain, but it sounds like you're at the beach. I was like, oh,
It does.
maybe
It's very Caribbean kind of.
yeah, maybe, but it didn't originally. That was just kind of what happened
Right,
with it,
when they
you
got
know,
hold of it, yeah.
when they got a hold of it, and I love that. I mean, that bass line Richard just came up with, and it became like kind of the signature thing, and we just started the song with it. That wasn't how I wrote it at all.
Wow.
Anyway, so then I thought of the alternate lyrics about Wave on the Ocean, you know, in the summertime, trying to keep that feel good thing, and then just thinking about, you know, originally it was you're up on the mountain, like a mountaintop experience, you know, either in your relationships or with God,
Right.
you know, and man, I can feel it, a love that feels so free, and it's keeping me alive, it's what's feeding you, you
It
know?
has a very,
Yeah,
you know, that up
High-
on the mountaintop,
yeah, high
arms
feeling.
spread wide, you know,
Yeah,
head to
good.
the sky. And yeah,
That's what I was going for.
All
Yeah.
right, that's
Great.
definitely what I took from it for
Excellent.
sure. You and Me and Everything. Really personal song for you, I assume.
Yeah, that's talking about the,
30-something single mom.
yeah, the really early days with Sherry and I.
Yeah.
You know, before we got married, and then when, you know, the little bit of time we had before we had kids, and,
Right.
and how little money we
I
had.
remember that.
And we slept in this little area in her parents' house that we called the cubby hole.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, she had been divorced and moved back in with her folks, and they were north of Nashville. And so when I moved to Nashville, I was just staying with them for a little while, and wound up
Right.
never leaving and getting married, and
A lot
you know,
different
just
than-
about what a beautiful time that is in my memory.
Yeah.
And
Well, I remember reading it in testimony. You go deep into that in the book.
Yeah.
You know, and it again, feel embraced reading the book as well.
Great.
You put me there, and you know, just such a warm person. You know, it's really I feel that way when I listen to music. I feel that way, you know, when you're speaking to me and through the text and everything.
Oh, great.
So it's really fantastic.
Good. That's awesome.
Manchester, fun song.
Yeah.
Tell me how it came about. And the Magic Bus. Is that a nod to the Who?
Well, I was walking around. Actually, I was sitting for part of the time. I was walking around, and I was sitting at a Starbucks actually in Manchester. And you know, sometimes I like those songs, like Being the Benefit of Mr. Kite, for example, where it's like, oh, John Lennon saw a newspaper article and decided to just write a song about what he was reading.
Right.
You know, you can tell that with Paul Simon a lot of times. It's like he's just writing about what he's seeing in this kind of simple way.
Yeah.
And so there was a billboard that said, "Take the Magic Bus." Another one that talked about taking the Midland train, and I guess they're trying to promote their mass transit in the city.
Yeah.
And there were other alternate verses that didn't get on there that had other phrases from the advertising that I was seeing around.
Wow.
And,
Cool.
it was just a pretty day. You know, these girls came in and they hugged in the coffee shop. You know, I was thinking, what are the people like? Man, there's every type of person here.
Yeah.
You know, and the traffic cop was directing traffic and being very British funny, like making all
Really?
these like Monty Python-esque jokes. And,
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. No, everything in that song is absolutely true.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
except one thing, which is, I was writing this. I had this phrase, you know, Manchester by the Sea in my mind, maybe because
Yeah.
the film had been out.
Right.
And it wasn't until the next day that I realized that was about a different Manchester. There wasn't any sea anywhere near Manchester. So I was going to have to scrap the song. I couldn't think of another line, you know, that worked.
Right.
And so I sent the guitar vocal to a friend in the UK, thinking, well, he's from the UK, he'll be able to sort it out, which makes very little sense, actually. And he did. In like 10, 15 minutes, he sent me back all the lyrics that wind up, it's the last
second
verse
part,
and the last chorus. And that's why it says Manchester is written by me and Jeff Bailey.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's just so great. It reminded me of, like I said, one of my favorite albums, You Don't Mess Around with Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminded me of the song, You Don't Mess Around with Jim, how it changes from Jim to Slim, if you're familiar with the song.
Yeah.
You know. It kind of does that same thing, Manchester by the sea, and then Manchester has no sea. So it's like, you know, it's like, okay, you know, the song straightens itself out.
If you don't know the story, I mean, it seems like it'd be just so weird. Like,
it's so much
he's saying
fun.
all through the song, Manchester by the sea,
Yeah.
and then at the end, Manchester not by the sea.
It's
like,
great.
What?
It's great. I love it. It's one of my favorites for sure. It's
Oh, man,
it's so
thanks.
much fun. It's
It didn't
a lot of
almost
fun.
didn't make the record.
Really.
We had to cut stuff. We were trying to figure out what to cut.
And I was going to ask you, you know, once we got through it, if you had to cut one, and you know, I never get an answer from a musician. They never give me the answer to this one. You know, now you're your own record company, but I mean, if you brought this into a record company and they said we can't do 12 time restraint or whatever,
Mhm.
I want you to do 11. Which one goes?
Well, I had to make that decision on the vinyl
Okay.
because we couldn't fit 12 on the vinyl, so I cut Old Alabama,
Oh, okay.
which I love.
Yeah.
It's really desperately hard to
Yeah.
cut songs because
They're your
you love them
kids,
almost.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't love them nearly as much as kids, but you love them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to choose.
Yeah, I would imagine it is.
Yeah.
Lay Low. It's got to be my favorite song on the record.
Really?
Just
Oh,
because
so
of
glad.
that driving thing.
Yeah.
It's just, you know,
Yeah, it's
on the way
definitely one
here
to
we
put
were
on
singing
for a
to,
drive. And,
and it's just, it makes me so happy and so warm, and every day is beautiful when the song's on, you know. But today was sunshiny and everything, and I thought, there's no better song. You know, it just doesn't get any better than this, you
Yeah,
know.
well, thank you.
And it's, you know,
I haven't played that one live at all.
Really?
There's a lot of these songs I haven't played live yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hear that song in the back room all the time. I'm sitting somewhere and I hear that song like all the time.
Yeah.
Been on the low for a while. That was one that was on my phone, lost from like 2014 or something. Yeah.
Wow. Gonna find that miracle mile. What's the miracle mile?
Oh well, that would be a euphemism for finding a heavenly place, finding
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
That's what it meant to me.
Gonna
thought
find
I
what
would-
my soul's searching for. Yeah.
That stretch of road that's leads you to a better place.
Yes,
Yeah.
amen.
Yeah. And Old Alabama, you said, is an older song that you had.
Yeah, I was writing country songs for a girlfriend of mine, a girl I was dating in the early '90s, long before 3 or 4 years before I was married. So, yeah, she was a country singer, and so I wrote a bunch of country songs for her. Some of them were really good. That was one that I always really liked, and so
Love it.
nice to find a home for it.
Yeah, it's just an amazing female vocal too.
Yeah, Julie Harrison's voice is just lovely.
Yeah, it's really, and it reminded me, your vocal on it reminded me of Don Henley.
Oh yeah.
When you first kick
Cool.
in, it has it's kind of a what's the song that Henley did with was it Stevie Nicks?
Yeah.
Leather and Lace maybe.
Yeah, like you in the moonlight. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it first kicks in, I said, wow, that's got a real Henley kind of soul to it too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
thank
great.
you.
If I Only Had a Day sounds really personal.
Yeah.
And you sing about calling your brother
Mhm.
that you don't see
Yeah.
and asking him to forgive you. Can you elaborate on that?
At that time, one of my brothers and I were having trouble, and we weren't really talking. And another friend of mine was also having trouble with his brother at that time, and so it was just on my mind. And I was just seriously thinking, what if I only had a day? What if I only had a week? What would I actually do? And so yeah, it was a very real thing, And even though I don't know, I think the right thing to do, even if you haven't felt like you've really done anything wrong, the right thing to do is say, hey, if I've done anything to hurt you, please forgive me. I didn't mean to.
Whatever.
That's
it
what
is,
I mean.
Let's just get this out of the way.
Yeah,
Love each other.
it's just trying to get, I really want to be reconciled,
Yeah.
especially because I only have a week to live.
Yeah. Wow. And I take it your brother and yourself are
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we've been talking. I just talked to him last week.
Fantastic.
It's not my brother Alan.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
You've done quite a bit with Alan.
Yeah.
You see him quite often, I would imagine. I love the line. Each day is the first or your last day on earth. No one's promised tomorrow.
Right.
That really spoke to me, especially the whole song, but that particular part. The song kind of just silences out, and it's so highlighted to me. That lyric, and it means a great deal.
Yeah, one reviewer said that they thought it was a sad note, rather a somber note to leave the album on. I guess because you're talking about dying. But I didn't feel that way. I thought I wanted to leave the album with something poignant, which is like, hey man,
You're gonna take care of everything.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I think.
and seize the day, man.
Yeah, and it's a philosophical lyric right there. I mean that just put an end to it on a good note for me.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I can see where
I thought
where
that's what I thought it was, but
Yeah. It kind of winds up everything. I think if you only had a day, you take care of everything and make sure you went out well.
yeah.
And that's a fitting ending for me. Will we see another record like this? Yeah. How many? 19 songs.
Yeah, I have some really good songs that didn't make it. I think they're really good. I don't know how soon I would do another one. I'll pray about that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I'd love to see another Similitude for sure.
Right,
You know,
sure.
I mean, that's in the wheelhouse.
We all would,
for
right?
sure. Yeah. Man,
There's only one similitude.
That is the magnum opus right there. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, it's wow.
Yeah. What a band.
Now, what about Flying Colors? The last time I talked to you, which, like I said, it has to be whenever Snow Live was released.
Uh-huh.
You were getting ready to record with Flying Colors, right? Is it?
I don't remember. It's been a while. Yeah, we did the original Flying Colors sessions were, I think, a year ago, December.
Okay.
You know, the one for the newest record. And I don't know. I don't know when
And Mike
everyone
was-
will find a hole in their busy schedule, you know.
I just saw him actually with Sons of Apollo,
Uh-huh.
and I still can't believe what I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're
Wow.
amazing players.
Just amazing. I mean, it
Yeah.
was. You know, when you're seeing, I see a lot of great bands, and they're really, really good, and some are great. But this is just, it's the upper echelon. I mean,
Right.
it's just, you can't believe it's humanly possible. I often
Yeah.
say, there's no way those guys are possibly human.
Right.
The way everything's just so perfect.
Yeah, they are amazing players.
He's just so
Absolutely.
good. Transatlantic, Neal Morse band, all kind of waiting to get that stuff together.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see where it works and where it fits, and you know, we'll
Like you
see.
say in
We
the
don't
beginning.
have a plan.
Like you say in the beginning of the book, I think, in testimony.
Yeah.
What's
What's
next?
next?
What's next?
Yeah, a lot of
That's the
times
question.
you'd finish one thing and you'd start praying, well, Lord, what's next?
Yeah.
And I don't always know.
And I think that's good. I think
Sure.
that's good.
Keeps things interesting.
In the spirit, in this last thing I got for you, in the spirit of I Only Had a Day, if you had the attention of the world for 60 seconds, what would you say?
Oh, 60 seconds. Well, I tell them about how the love of God changed my heart through the power of the Spirit and the love of Jesus. And, I tell people that it's the greatest thing ever to, and my favorite thing, somebody asked me to give my testimony in 60 seconds once. Like, what's God done for you that you think is the most important thing? And I think it's what the Bible calls the circumcision of the heart. In other words, there's like dead skin around the heart in a sense.
Yeah.
And he strips that away, and you can truly love. And he's taught me how to love.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And yeah, I wish everybody could have that awakening.
Oh yeah.
We'd live in a much better world, I think.
Yeah. We all need it.
Well, I got something for you.
Oh,
You've
thank
given
you.
me so much in my life through your art. I do photography work,
Oh wow.
and I thought you might appreciate this. It's a little strange. I was in Spain,
Okay.
okay, and I got off the tour bus. It had been raining all day. We
That's
were
cool.
on a 4-hour drive about. And I stepped foot off the tour bus. It wasn't a great time. I was tired. This tour bus rained all the time.
Mhm.
It was just a somber kind of feeling. I wanted to see this foreign land. And I got off, and the rain had stopped. The sun was shining, and I looked down, and that's what I saw. Which
Wow.
said to me, it was a tap on the shoulder from my higher power,
Yeah.
And there's some
That's really
garbage
cool.
there.
Uh-huh.
There's puddle and muck, but in that is a beautiful life
Yeah.
with that leaf.
That's cool.
And then it just happened to have Jesus' name on there, and I thought, wow, it's just
That's
and
amazing.
and the day was bright, and it was just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It changed, and it lives with me to this day, and that was years ago now, but it lives with me, and I hope you can draw something from it.
Thank you so
know.
much.
You're very welcome.
That's
You're
awesome,
very
man.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for
you. God bless
all
you.
you do. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, to transport it, could I have that cover?
Yes.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Good.
if
Everybody
you'd like me to-
watching, should we just leave them hanging? Or Should we show them what the story you just told?
Okay. Here it is. And there it is.